Hey everybody, it's TR. We're out here on my porch. You may hear some wind chimes, some truck traffic going by. With the proximity effect. My hand is huge. Anyhow, I watch other people's videos, as I'm sure we all do. And Jay Sallin recently did a video where he reviewed a Van Gogh pedalboard. Now you probably know or don't know that I'm not a pedalboard kind of guy. Due to the advent of the Boss Katana, I used to have all kinds of pedals. I had a big pedal board. My Katana, my 50 watter, I got 2 buttons. I'm a 2-sound guy, I'm a clean dirty, and I got a button to kick my boost in and I'm good. If I want my bigger Katana, the head I have the big foot switch that turns everything off and on for all I could want it to. But I ended up putting my pedals in this little bag. I got a stupid deal of the day musician's friend special for a Roadrunner bag, $25. I couldn't pass it up. I put a few pedals in it and I was like, there, I could take that with me. I have a little 15-watt stage right tube amp. It's got a 12-inch speaker and my Marshall Hayes 40. Although it is a Marshall, in order to get it to sound the way you want, you really got to crank it up. So if I use the clean channel on that with distortion pedals, like amp in a box type pedals, I get a really, really nice sound. So I would have that option if I wanted. Not going to do it. That amp weighs a freaking ton. Katana doesn't weigh anything. And of course, if you watched my recent video, you see I bought that 15-pound alto speaker to use with my NUX MG modeling processor, and that would weigh next to nothing. The MG fits in a gig bag, okay? So anyhow, I digress. I'm going to show you a pedal board that I built several years ago, and it doesn't have fancy lights, although it could. It doesn't have ins and outs, although it could. And it doesn't have Velcro, so stay tuned. You are looking at the one and only, the original, prototype, the Wicked Fester pedal board. Yeah, it's the backside. Okay, there's this company that makes pedal boards called Holyboard. They're wooden metal boards that have a bunch of holes in them, perforated, and you use zip ties to hold your pedals down, and I liked the idea. So I decided I wanted to make my own version of the Holyboard. I got this pegboard. These pieces of wood here, I'm just sprucing up the paint, that's why it's out here. These pieces of wood here are slats from a packing crate from some appliance I bought or something. I'm not even sure what it was from. It's junk wood. Although these side pieces are off of a budget Walmart baby gate that was no longer needed. So they're maple. So they're rigid and hard, and that's why they're on the sides to do the job for that. And you're wondering why this piece here, which is also from a baby gate, that's where the wah pedal goes on top of that. And I was getting flex, and I didn't want flex when I pushed on the wah pedal. These are just simple L brackets. I bought them like at Walmart, whatever, and bolted them together in this configuration to raise the back. And what I did just recently, they had kind of sharp edges, this L brackets will, and I took an angle grinder and a Dremel, and as you can see, very smooth. Can't cut myself on it. Okay, so you want to see what the top looks like, right? Let's flip her over. I think the paint on the back's dry good enough. I'm doing a little refurbish. Going to get some pedals out. Let's check it there in the shot. Yeah, and anyhow, all these little holes, zip ties can go in and out them. And you can place your pedals wherever you want. And you attach them with a zip tie, which ultimately is a lot sturdier, got paint over that, a lot sturdier than what you would get with Velcro. Maybe not quite as convenient to move them around. You have to have a pair of cutters with you and some new zip ties if you're going to move a pedal. But it works, and I'm going to get out all my pedals and we're going to put them on here and you're going to get to see how it works. Anyhow, for demonstration purposes, we're going straight into the board using a direct box with a speaker emulation. And here's just the straight through signal. we turn the speaker emulation off, here's the straight through signal. Doesn't sound a whole lot different, but I am here to tell you that when I crank on some gain, it's going to sound terrible without the emulated 412 cab. So let's first in the signal is the tuner. Tune it or die, right? Okay, so first in the signal chain is the wah. We'll click it on. Next, I have the phaser. Very similar to the wah, right? Then I have a compressor. I like this for doing my clean sounds. Try to keep it about the same volume. And then I have my drive, which I have set to just be like a tube screamer without really any hair on it, because I'm using it to drive my amp in a box. This is my amp in a box. This is the new X Plexi Crunch. Should sound kind of like a Marshall. Now watch when I add this with it. And then, as I said, I'm using this for a clean boost. Say I want to do a lead. So here I am playing my regular volume. We're bringing the lead. So I can adjust that for how loud that needs to be. Maybe even a little louder would be good. I don't know. So that's that. So then we come over here to the coloring pedals after we have gone back into the return of the unit. With the chorus. That'll sound better with the clean, I think. So there's that. Now, let's kick in a little spring reverb. And digital delay. It's about like I like that with the reverb. And Marshall in a box. And a little hair on the Marshall in a box. That sounds pretty good, and considering this is not through an amp, this is just going direct into the board. So they all work. So now the next part's the simple part where I just strap them down with the zip ties. I'll be back to demo that in just a second. Okay, so I have your basic Walmart brand Hyper tough cable ties. You need big ones to do this. Yeah, they hold up to 75 pounds. That's not 11 inch. That's what you need. Suck on my big 10 inch. I got an 11 inch. Anyhow, how's it going to work? Try not to get my head in the way here. I'm going to pick the best place to put this in here, which I'm guessing. Okay, through the art of creative editing. Okay, so I guess we're going to want to come back here with this. You do have to have these long enough to reach, so. Let's try putting this through here. Because you have to have enough for the clicky part to start clicking. There we go. We got some clicky part clicking. What I'm going to do, I'm going to come around the table. Well, I can't come around the table. I got to move it. Such as it is when you have microphones and things hooked up. Take my handy dandy little pliers. I'm going to pull that tight as I can get it. There we go. And cut the end off, and I leave a little bit in case I, at a later time, want to tighten it more if it gets loose. And now, there's one pedal firmly attached to the board, not going nowhere. And then we move on, so on and so forth across all of them. I'm not going to bore you with that. And then what I can do is take smaller cable ties as I want, and I can tack down and neaten up these, or I have the option, if I want to widen out some of these holes, I could come up through the bottom with the electrical part and clean this board up considerably, which I really am thinking about doing. So anyways, that's how that's going to work. So I'm going to look into the possibility of widening a couple of my holes to come up through with my power cables and to make the board neater, and or just tack them down with cable ties. But first things first, all of the pedals need to get tacked down, and that's what I'll be doing next. You guys take care. Big thumb.